The media is in the process of changing as we speak, in the here and now. Oh, poor Margaret Brennan. So this is the woman that hosts Face the Nation on CBS. I have this theory in television, you know, as long as you're kind of like a wallflower who doesn't rock the boat too much and doesn't have too much personality, because, you know, it's not a star system, maybe you'll be able to eke out a career much like she has done. She's a perfectly nice person. I will say that. Perfectly nice person. In fact, we used to share a desk at CNBC together, and she's decently smart. She went to Williams. She's actually fluent in Arabic. And so it's interesting to me that the president has taken such aim at her, and not just the president. Look at this one here, guys. So this is the president alongside Karoline Leavitt saying that Margaret Brennan at CBS is, quote, stupid. You can put that on record, they said. Now, again, I'm not sure how fundamentally stupid, as maybe just brainwashed she is, because I'm going to show you a couple of clips. Well, they do kind of seem stupid. Here, in this one, the European leaders were coming to the U.S. recently, as you'll recall, because they were going to be there with Zelensky as President Trump tried to negotiate something vis-a-vis Zelensky and Putin. These conversations are still going on. In fact, Putin just saying today that there may be some progress there. Anyway, Margaret had some crazy theory. I wonder who's given her this. Watch. Oh, wow. Marco let her have it on her own show.
You know, there is concern from the Europeans that President Zelensky is going to be bullied into signing something away. That's why you have these European leaders coming as backup tomorrow. Can you?
No, it isn't. That's not why they're coming as back. That's not true. No, but that's not why. That's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming.
That February Oval Office meeting
here
in front of television cameras, where President Zelensky.
Do you know how many meetings we've had since then?
Oh, no, I know. And I was just up in Alaska watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but with Zelensky, we've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. So but that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
All right. So he lets her have it on her own darn show. But there's this like cat and mouse game that keeps going on because Rubio keeps going back on the show. She keeps asking these really biased, really loaded, dumb questions. And Rubio's like, what are you talking about? Here's another, watch.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is the key point in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons.
Secretary of State's like, I'm sorry, are you trying to do my job? Like, he is Secretary of State, okay? He might know a thing or two more about that than one Margaret Brennan. Again, in her personal life, lovely person, okay? And you know what? She's Irish. She's Irish, so how can I not like another fellow Irishman, right? And I think she was a step dancer too. And, you know, I have an Irish step dancer for a daughter. So, you know, I like to give her the benefit of the doubt, but these things, they keep on happening. I mean, one after another. And then this was the one that stole the show, when she somehow equated free speech with having led to the Holocaust. Kid you not. All right, stick around for this one. Ladies and gentlemen, cue the tape.
Well, it sounded to a lot of these allies of the United States like they were being described as adversaries or autocrats. It was really the focus here, two things. One of them was migration, and the second was what Vice President Vance calls censorship. He was trying to bring that MAGA message of the enemy within to the global stage. And specifically, he says that European leaders aren't showing that they have strong democracies when they sideline controversial groups. He went out of his way to meet with the head of the AfD. That's a political party that's under investigation in Germany because it's so far right and for potentially conducting extremism. And he mentioned that car ramming in Munich recently conducted by an Afghan migrant as an example of what he says is out of control migration. He says that's proof you've got to bring immigration skeptics into the government.
Okay, so you can't have anybody that is conservative. Listen, the AFD has a history of ties that was a long, long, long time ago. Now, if you look at the AFD, it's actually representative of a conservative wing of the party. Obviously, things are kind of touchy there. Germany just came out with a whole new list of its welfare recipients. Guess what? The number one name on the welfare recipient list was, don't forget, Angela Merkel bringing everybody in from Syria because Germany's got a obviously very guilty conscience. Well, they've got a whole other set of problems now. Number one name, Mohammed. So this party is saying, wait a second, we got to stand up to this. And she's saying, how dare anybody meet with them because they are going to give rise to some pretty bad stuff, effectively equating free speech, as I said, with the Holocaust in all her glory, I guess proving the president's point.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Yeah. So she was called up pretty badly for that. So when the president and Karoline Leavitt now say, she seems pretty dumb, there's a reason they're saying that. And it's getting kind of funny because I'm like, Marco, why even bother going on the show? But I think it's actually important that he does this. Again, in the interest of transparency, like get out there, go on these shows, right? And expose the journalists for their lack of knowledge. Expose journalists when they cut your soundbite, such as they did on this very show with one Kristi Noem just last weekend. Anyway, as we talk about AFD, this is really bizarre, guys. New story out today in the New York Post that shows 6 candidates from Germany's right-wing AFD party have died 13 days apart. This is in the lead up to local polls. 4 candidates, 2 reserves from the AfD political party in Germany have actually dropped dead within 13 days of each other. This is kind of feeling I don't know, Kremlin-esque, Russia-esque. The Alternative for Deutschland candidates were supposed to be appearing, I guess, on some ballots in a matter of days on September 14th. Now, according to the BBC, but they can't actually report the truth at the BBC because they are the British Broadcasting Network and they are required, I guess, to just say whatever they're supposed to say. Officials say no foul play is currently suspected in any of their deaths. I mean, really? It just seems a little strange that all 6 of them are dying just days before the election. I mean, I don't know quite how that happens. And wouldn't somebody be looking into the possibility of foul play? Can I raise that question? Well, I'll raise this question. Suffice it to say that now that you have Skydance coming in and taking over the reins there at CBS News, there will be a lot of changes. And that means 60 Minutes is up for grabs. Face the Nation, the entire news division is going to have to change as you know it because it's expensive to have. Now look, CBS is always last in the ratings. I know this because, I used to work there. And can you imagine, I would call up, especially if I was trying to get somebody on with me to participate on, if I got assigned a story on The Early Show, which I don't even know what it's called right now. I guess it's still on. Oprah's friend does it, right? Is she still there? I guess. Anyway, I get assigned a story on The Early Show. A minute 20, a minute 10, and I'd call someone to see if I could get them on, and they'd be like, what? And I'd say, The Early Show on CBS. You know, like Good Morning America. except on CBS. Or the Today Show, only on CBS. I'll tell you, it was a relief when I finally was reporting on the Today Show, because at least I could say, it's on the Today Show. I mean, really, this was tough, right? So their network is always in third place. The evening news is in third place. Face the Nation's in, actually, it might do a little better. I'm not sure. Face the Nation. All of the shows. If 60 Minutes didn't have the lead-in of football, it would be nowhere, okay? So their evening news is in the tank. All of this stuff just doing really, really badly. But the network had figured out that somehow if they just reduced everybody's salaries and they had fewer cameramen and, they didn't upgrade the equipment. I remember getting a rotary phone, no joke, in my office. I mean, this wasn't that long ago, thank you very much, maybe 20 years ago, but no, 15 years ago or so, 20 years ago. A rotary phone in the office. I'm sorry, by then everybody had moved on to the push button system, all right? I hadn't seen that since the 70s. But if you pare down on expenses enough, maybe you can kind of eke out a profit until you're reaching the point of no return, thanks to the new media environment, which is what we're in right here, right now, which is why it's exciting to have you. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, make a comment, all of that stuff. I should point out, number 85, we're climbing in the top 100. This is all the podcasts in the world, right? So it's kind of a big deal here on YouTube. That's thanks to your commitment, and maybe a little thanks to my commitment too. Here, live with you every day. Doesn't matter where I am in the world, as you guys saw, right? Whether I was in the middle of the ocean, or if I was in the middle of Greece, or in the middle of France, or in the middle of Italy, or in the middle of Ireland. There I was with you every day, because I am really committed to this. And this is a new medium where I'm able to do this kind of stuff. We don't have to pay thousands of dollars to get the live truck from CBS to have me go live on the network early show that nobody knows right anymore. So it's a whole new ball game. And the question becomes, who's going to last? Who's going to go? I would say this, you know what? To anybody that loses their job in this media shakeup, the reality is, if you're good, you will succeed. My parents used to say to me, my dad would say, never worry, Trish, the cream always rises to the top. Remember that. And then my mom would say, in Chinese, the word for opportunity and crisis, they're one and the same. So if you think about it that way, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to poor Margaret, but if any of these talent, the reality is there's a whole new landscape out there. And if you're good, but that's a big if, because I think majority of talent at network news is not very good at all. They just go along to get along, and they do what the bosses want, and they kind of blend enough into the background that they don't stand out too much, and they manage to stay there. I mean, I look at some of these people and I'm like, wait a second. I was there 20 years ago. For goodness sakes, you're still there. It's way more fun over here. Just saying. Make sure you subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff.